Ladies and gentlemen, good day and welcome to the Torrent Pharma Limited Q2 FY22 earnings conference call. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in the listen-only mode, and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal an operator by pressing star then zero on your touchtone phone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I now hand the conference over to Mr. Sudhir Menon. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Q2 FY22 earnings call of Torrent Pharma. Q2 was driven by a strong momentum in the branded generic market. In terms of financial performance during the quarter, the revenues were 2,137 crores, up by 6% on YOY basis. EBITDA was 711 crores, up by 11% on YOY basis. The profit before tax was at 472 crores, which was up by 23%. Net profits after taxes were at 316 crores, up by 2%. Aman, over to you for taking us through the India business performance.
Thanks, Sudhir. India revenues at 1087 crores grew by 13% on a year-on-year basis. Underlying growth adjusted for spillover of sales from Q1 to Q2 last year on account of dispatch delays is at 16%. Growth was driven by continued strong momentum across all our key therapies. All our new launches in the chronic segment continue to gain market share in leadership positions. Patient footfalls have largely normalized now, and we expect double-digit market growth to continue for the coming quarters. As per AIOCD data, Torrent's Q2 growth was 19% versus the IPM growth of 15%. Torrent is among the fastest growing companies in the CVD, gastro, and CNS therapies during the quarter, as per the AIOCD data set. The PCPM for the quarter was 9.9 lakhs with an MR strength of 3,600. Torrent continues to focus on brand building and specialty approach and has 16 brands in the top 500 of the IPM, with 11 brands with more than 100 crore sales. Now over to Mr. Sanjay Gupta for the international business.
Thank you, Aman. Let's start with the branded generics piece. So the largest branded generic market outside India is Brazil. Our Q1 sales were Brazilian reais 109 million. These were up by 20%. The Q2 sales were aided by strong performance of our key brands, new launches, and some price increases. As per IMS, branded generic growth market growth for the quarter was 10%, and we continue to maintain a strong launch momentum in Brazil with 2 launches that took place earlier this year and 3 additional molecules which would be launched before March 31st, 2022. Moving on to Germany, our Germany sales were euro 29 million, down by 4% on a year-on-year basis. This growth was impacted negatively due to COVID-induced supply delays and channel inventory reduction due to wholesaler customer consolidation. As per secondary sales data, Torrent's growth is in line with market growth. In the US, our sales were at 35 million, were down by 18% on a year-on-year basis and 2% on a Q1Q basis. Growth continued to be impacted by the lack of new launches, pending re-inspection of facilities, and price erosion on the base portfolio. At the quarter end, there were 53 ANDAs pending approval with the US FDA, and 7 tentative approvals have been received. 1 ANDA was approved during the quarter. To conclude, sequentially, Q2 witnessed steady recovery and normalization across the markets. This was complemented by our strong performance in branded generic markets led by new brands and new launches. We continue to focus on returning our German and US business back to growth. Operator, we can open the call to questions now.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on their touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. Reminder to the participants, anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 at this time. The first question is from the line of Prakash from Axis Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for the opportunity and good evening to all. My first question is on the gross margins. Since India and Brazil are have seen good growth and have a higher share versus last couple of quarters, the gross margin seems to be muted, in fact down versus the last 5 quarters. Could you explain what's happening here? Are we seeing increase in raw material prices, and what is the outlook there?
Oh, absolutely. So, Prakash, in terms of increase in raw material prices, we are yet to see those things coming in because of, the shortage of power issue in China. But there's a general increase, which we have been seeing over the last 2 quarters. So yes, I mean, there's some amount of increase, but not very significant, I would say. So that's point number one. This quarter, what's happened, Prakash, is three factors. So one is, if you remember last quarter, we said the gross margin is looking little lower because at least as far as India business is concerned, there's little more concentration of the acute segment to the overall portfolio. What we are seeing is quarter two, that's still continuing, Prakash. So possibly 1 quarter down the line, or maybe in quarter three, we should see that correcting and the mix changing more favorably towards the chronic portfolio. So that's number two. Number three, this quarter there's a higher inventory provisioning which we've done more for the generic markets, I would say. That impact is roughly 0.5%. So that's something additional which has walked in this quarter versus quarter one. And we've seen some amount of higher price erosion in the US business in quarter two versus quarter one. That's impacting the margin by around 0.3%. So all in all, we see an impact of roughly 1%, of which US price erosion is 0.30. The other two factors which I spoke about, I think going forward, it should start reversing now.
So net we would be around this level of 72 to 72.5?
Yeah, I think it should be a little higher than this because of two factors, right? I mean, inventory provisioning, as I said, is impacting the margin by 0.5% in quarter two. That should reverse in coming quarters, is what I believe. And plus, as I said, the concentration of the portfolio more as far as India is concerned on the acute side, that should start getting corrected because I think even the acute and subchronic segments have started normalizing now. So maybe 2 months, 3 months down the line, we should see that correcting. And the portfolio mix again realigning towards our chronic portfolio. So that should be maybe another 0.2, 0.3%. So that's the correction which I believe should happen in the coming quarters.
Okay, understood. And secondly, on the cash flow position, so could you help us understand the cash flow from operations? So I'm looking at the number which you have given in your cash flow statement. But if you could just, confirm the numbers, please.
So net cash from operating activities half year ended 30th September 2021 is 904 crores.
This is cash flow from operations.
Correct. And minus the capex 127, free cash flows would be roughly 770 crores.
And how much is the net debt now with this kind of cash generation? And how much you have paid?
So we've repaid around 490 crores up till now. And possibly next two, I think we should be around the same number. And therefore, net, I think we should be, the net borrowing should be at roughly, I think by year end, Prakash, borrowing 2394 plus 1944, so around 4,200 crores is the gross borrowing, Prakash.
Yeah. And the net would be?
Net would be
around 3,600?
Minus 700, I would say. So yeah, I mean, around 3,500 kind of a number.
Perfect. Okay, and last one on the payable side, it seems to have decreased quite a bit. Any particular reason? I mean, while your inventory and this receivables are similar, but your payables have gone down sharply. Any particular reason there?
Yeah. So Prakash, so one of the major component in trade payables is the discount claims which Germany.
Germany.
Germany, yeah. Germany, it's a tender market, right? So there are insurance discounts which come from the insurance company. So previously it used to come with a lag of 6 to 7 months. There are two things which have happened in Germany. So one is Germany, the growth, we are seeing a degrowth, right, in quarter two. So that's point number one, because of which the amount of the payables towards the insurance discount has gone down. The other thing is there's some amount of acceleration we see in terms of the discount claim coming from insurance companies. So,
Mr. Milind, sorry to interrupt you, sir. The audio is slightly breaking from your line, sir. Please check.
yeah, Prakash, you can hear me?
Yeah, I mean, little bit the sound quality is bad, but it's okay.
Yeah. So what I was saying is the second factor, Prakash, is that previously we used to get claim from the insurance companies with a gap of 6 to 7 months. So there was a float which was available. But now there's 2 to 3 months of acceleration which we are seeing in terms of the claims. So that has caused a reduction in trade payables.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Aditya Khemka from InCred Financial Services. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity. Sudhir, sir, can you break up the India business growth into new products, volume, and price, please?
Yeah, Aman, you want to take that?
Yeah, I'll take that. Volume growth was 7%, price growth was 8%, and new product growth was 4%.
7, 8, and 4. Okay. So, Aman, previously we had seen much higher price growth and lower volume growth last year. And this year the trend seems to be sort of reversed, where the volume growth is higher and the price growth is lower. So I can understand the higher volume growth given last year COVID impact must have been there across the portfolio. But I am failing to comprehend the lower price growth. So can you help us understand that?
No, lower price growth, I don't think it's lower than the last few quarters. It's remained in this range of 7 to 8. So this quarter it's 8% as well.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I misheard you. Okay, so 8% is the price growth. Okay, fine. And Aman, any color on the...
Which is 4%.
Understood. Yes.
Yeah.
I got that. And on the generics business that we have started, the trade generic business, I know it's early days, but any colors on how the market is turning out to be? And as you're testing waters, how easy or difficult is it to build a business out?
I would say it's a pretty good start. As you mentioned, this is the second quarter, but we have essentially taken some of our branded generic brands and shifted them to the trade generic basket, and also added new launches here. And the traction is picking up month by month. So probably the next quarter we can give a much clearer picture on what we anticipate this business to look like in the near term.
Understood. Could you also give us some color on the number of MRs? So because you shifted some of these brands from branded generics to trade, were you able to reduce the field force by a little bit? And also, what is the organic attrition in the field force?
No, we have not shifted any MRs. MR strength remaining exactly the same. Attrition will be mid-single digits.
Mid-single digits. And that is for Torrent, right? What is standard, industry standard right now in your understanding?
More than 10% is usually the average, 10 to 15%.
10 to 15. So that's phenomenally good. Okay. One last question. Sudhir sir, on the CAPEX plans, what's our CAPEX plan for FY22 and 23, and where is that directed, majority of it?
So it should be basically maintenance capex. Should be between 250 to 300.
Understood. 250 to 300, and all of it maintenance, right?
Yeah, most of it. I mean, there would be some expansion which may start next year, end of next year. Basically for expanding the domestic capacity. But that will be over a period of 3 years. So I would say both put together would be roughly 250 to 300 crores in FY22, and possibly FY23 we can look at between 300 to.
No, I got that. Just one last question, sorry. On the increase in raw material prices that you alluded to in the previous comment, obviously a lot of this has been driven by China and the supply situation that exists there. Any thoughts on vertically integrating, or do you think the Chinese, raw material price inflation is transitory and it would normalize in a few months or quarters?
No, so from a priority perspective, Aditya, there is no plan to invest in vertical integration as of now.
Mm-hmm. And the price inflation, therefore, how do you tackle that?
No, that's what I said, right? I mean, Aditya, it's too early for me to comment on the price increases which are being talked in the market, right? At least for our portfolio, we've not seen that kind of a major impact coming in. But yes, I mean, if there is an impact coming in, we believe it won't be on the overall portfolio. Maybe in some products it might come in, and we'll have to tackle it through price increases, right? I mean, in those specific products within the regulatory allowed framework.
Gotcha. Thanks, Anthony, for answering the questions. All the best.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Damayanti Kerai from HSBC. Please go ahead.
Hi, thank you for the opportunity. My first question is regarding your US business. So, sir, any update on FDA inspection of our facilities? Any timeline which you might be foreseeing at this point of time? And in the US based business, what kind of price erosion you are facing, and where do you see price erosion moving in next, say, few quarters?
So on the first question in terms of inspections, we've seen that the USFDA started again making inspections in India. We've seen quite a few of our peer companies getting inspected, and they've established a priority list as per what they consider to be important for the US drug supply. And so we expect them to visit us in the coming months, but cannot give a firm timetable. But it should be, hopefully in the next, let's say, 3 months, any time, and we are prepared for it. In terms of price erosion, we are seeing a pretty high level of price erosion in the US again. There is a lot of competitive intensity has heated up. And for a base business, it's again safe to assume a high single digit, almost double digit price erosion.
Okay, and any outlook on the pricing, or it largely depends on new launches once we get the facility clearances?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
So I was asking, how do you see this base price erosion to set out in next few quarters, or do you think it will be mostly normalizing once we get new approvals coming from the plants after the clearance?
So price reduction is a kind of an intrinsic part of the US business on the base business. And generally it used to be 3 to 5%, and it's currently running at a higher rate. But eventually, it should stabilize at the historical trend level, which is between 3 to 5. To grow the business, one has to launch new products. And here's where we've been constrained since March of 2019 because we've not got any material approvals. And once the facilities are cleared, we have about 55 ANDAs pending with the FDA, so we would expect them to be approved rapidly. Many of them would still have commercial value on the market, and customers would be interested in sourcing them from us. So we are doing that evaluation permanently, and we would be bringing quite a few of these to the market. So that would have a positive impact.
Okay, so and have you started supplies from Levittown facility?
Levittown will have some sales this current quarter.
Okay, so it will start this quarter, third quarter. Okay. And so my final question is on India business. So how do you see impact of this, I'll say, pickup in online pharmacies in broader market in medium to long term, especially for companies like Torrent, which is chronic heavy, and what we understand, online pharmacies and all are more focused on capturing the chronic part of the market. So any thoughts here, sir?
Change in our view, same dynamic in the market continues. There's no real impact on the branded generic business at all right now. In fact, this could be a good opportunity for us to leverage for the trade generics, for retail offline chains and online pharmacies.
Okay, so no impact as of now, but anything you foresee for the long term?
Nothing significant.
Okay, thank you. I'll get back in the queue.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Anubhav Agarwal from Credit Suisse. Please go ahead.
तुम्ही क्या व्यक्तिशी बोलत?
The current participant has placed the call on hold. We'll move on to the next question from the line of Pratik Mandhana from Nomura. Please go ahead.
Thank you for the opportunity. Sir, I had a question on the Germany. You had mentioned in the press release that there are some impact due to customer consolidation taking place. So this impact is just on the Torrent, or this is a market-wide phenomenon? By when do we expect this to basically normalize?
Sanjay, you there?
Hello? Yeah, I'm there. So what I was mentioning is that Germany had 4 major wholesalers and 2 of them merged in this year. So what they've done is they're streamlining their inventories, and it's a one-time impact whereby, as they consolidate, they bring down the overall level of inventory of the combined group. So that is one factor. The second factor is that, their wholesalers had built up inventory in the COVID days, and that's also getting normalized. So both of these the impact should fade away with time. Okay. So do we expect any pricing pressure in Germany? Like 4 are now 2 are merged. So will this give them more pricing power? No, actually the wholesalers in Germany do not really impact the pricing. The pricing is more as linked to the companies that bid on tenders. So in general, there are more companies coming to Germany from India and elsewhere. So the pricing tend to build up in the tender process. Wholesalers are more like service providers, and they are the ones that are actually servicing the requirements of the pharmacies. But the demand generation comes because of the tenders, and so I do not expect the consolidation to yield to result in any additional pricing pressure. Okay, thank you. And then one question on US. So in your press release you have mentioned the constant currency sales to be $35 million and in INR 284 crores. So that points to a fairly high rate of USD and about 81.1. So can you please help me understand like why is it so? Sudhir, can you take that one, please?
No, let's come back to you, please.
Okay, sure. Thank you, sir.
And 35 million is the right. 35 million is the right number.
Okay, so like is the INR number? Does that contain something else as well? 284.
I'll have to check. Possibly it's a mistake, but I'll have to check.
Sure, sir. Thank you. That's all from my side.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Abdul Qadir Puranwala from Elara Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Thank you for the opportunity. So 2 questions from my end. First on the India business. Last quarter we spoke about venturing into the trade generic business. So, have you already started that, and whether this growth what we have seen in India, has that also been driven because of venturing into the trade generic segment?
Yeah, we have started it, and this is the second quarter of launch. So it's a pretty small part of the business, something between 1.5% to 2% overall right now, the trade generics business.
Okay. And so next question is on the R&D spending, what we are doing. So on a quarter basis, this quarter we spent close to 130 crores on R&D. But when I look at the US filings, not much of the products have been filed. So, how is our product filing strategy going to be? Are we going to wait till the FDA clears the site and post that all the products will be filed, or what exactly would be the planning on the product filing part?
So there is no change in the filing strategy. So generally we file more products in Q3 and Q4. So this year also we expect to file double-digit products in the US. So there's no change there. It's just a timing issue.
All right. That would be all from me. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Shyam Srinivasan from Goldman Sachs. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi, good evening, and thank you for taking my question. Just the first one is on the EBITDA margins. We have seen a softness in gross margins, which you explained, and maybe you have also given an outlook. But EBITDA margins have done better, like YOY. So just want to understand what are the levers that are there, and if you can help us with some kind of a directional guidance on EBITDA margins as well.
So Shyam, as per the policy, we don't give a future-looking guidance.
Sure.
But quarter one, what we had said is on the expenses, we said, more or less, it should be around this number. And quarter two, if you see, that's the way it got delivered, right? And what I had also commented last quarter is maybe the expenses will go up to a certain amount, and that's exactly what we are seeing in quarter two. Other than that, as you said, I've already explained what is that impact on gross margins. So I would leave it to you to assume what's there in H2.
Yeah. No, Sudhir, I think only point is, these margins are significantly higher than what we saw pre-COVID. So from a sustainability, just want to understand, and we have always talked that costs may not have come back fully. So when do you think the costs will come back fully? Is it Q3, Q4, or is it only next week?
No, that's what Aman had explained last quarter, that most of the pre-COVID costs have come back. So if you look at it from what you call last year versus this year perspective, this year I think most of the costs have come back. Now the question is, how does one look at this cost going forward? In terms of making incremental investment for higher growth or so, that will be something different. But as far as the costs are concerned, I think quarter one, quarter two, we've delivered more or less similar kind of a cost, right? And I think the field working, doctor meetings and all have come to almost 95% of the pre-COVID levels. So that speaks out on the cost.
Got it. That's very helpful.
And I think, so going from here in Q3, before there could be some just a marginal level of increase in further physical activity, but just may go back to almost maybe 100% level of previous, but again, not too much higher from there.
Got it. And my second question, just looking at your MR productivity now, almost touching 10 lakhs, right? At least in this quarter. How should we look at it? You are now almost in line with some of the top players in UNFI, which have a higher chronic element like you do. So how should we look at this? Do you think, is there any scope required for increasing field force, or you think productivity improvements can drive top line growth for us in India?
In the earlier discussions and quarters have also always been that as the portfolio expands, we will need to add the field force accordingly. So when the new launches start coming in, and that's when the additional expansion would be required.
Do we foresee which time frame is the question? Do you think it's a fiscal 23 event now, or just want to understand that?
Yeah, within the next year could be likely.
Got it. Thank you and all the best.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Bharat Celly from Equirus Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for the opportunity and good evening, everyone. So Sudhir, just wanted to understand on Germany market, given that Germany's overall EBITDA margins were already lower on a lower end, and where insurance claims actually accelerating. Are we looking at a perpetual dip in ROICs for this business?
No, not really. Germany for me, I think the return on capital employed is superb. because of this float which is available to me, I have a negative working capital.
Right, sir. So since it is getting accelerated, will it impact in the longer period?
I mean, I would say this was something which was expected. So from a 6 months or 7 months coming down to 5 months, it doesn't change the color too much. So I think still I would say in terms of the returns, Germany still stands out against the other geographies, I would say.
And do you foresee it to get further accelerated in the coming period, or you see it will be stabilizing?
No, I don't think so. Because I think this whole thing started when this happened last year, right? So probably, everywhere there were cash flow pressures, which could have been the case with insurance companies also, right? And which made them accelerate some part of it, right? But I mean, that's how the system works. So I don't think there's more acceleration beyond this, what's already seen.
Right. And sir, on the US market, is there any particular set of products where you are seeing higher price erosion, or it is a broad-based price erosion which are you seeing this?
So essentially, since we don't have new launches, we have legacy products which were launched before 2019, and these are high volume oral solids. So you are seeing a price erosion on oral solids as well as a few derma products that we've launched.
Okay, so it is more broad-based prices which are in the market. Yeah, that's fine. Hello.
Yeah. Sanjay, you there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And sir, on final one, so we have even settled for Revlimid as far as we can see in the court document. So are we going to be among first or second wave of launch? If you could give some outlook on generic Revlimid.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand the question. Can you just repeat again, please?
So in court documents, it seems that we have settled for lenalidomide, that is Revlimid. So when can we expect a launch? And are we going to be in the first wave or second wave? So if you could give any outlook, broad-based or a broad number over there.
No. So we've settled the lenalidomide litigation. Unfortunately, not at the liberty to disclose as to what the terms of the settlement are.
But sir, can you at least tell whether it is going to be second wave or third wave of launch? Anything broadly, if you could tell.
No, I think we are driven by confidentiality. We cannot discuss that.
Sure, sir. Sure. Thank you. Thanks for taking my question.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Sayantan Maji from Credit Suisse. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you for taking my question. My first question is on Brazil. So we had a constant currency growth of 18% in this quarter. So how much is price increase in this? What's the component of price increase?
So broadly speaking, about half of it comes from volume increase, and the other half is equally split between new launches and pricing.
Okay. Thank you. And second question is on R&D. So, since our plants have not been cleared for the past 2 years now, so once the plants get cleared, so would we see an increase in the R&D spends, or is it not say related to this event?
There's no change in our R&D guidance. So generally we guide towards 6 to 7% of top line revenue in R&D, and we don't anticipate a change in that.
Okay, thank you. That's all from my side.
Thank you. Participants, to ask a question, you may press star and 1. The next question is from the line of Pratik Mandhana from Nomura. Please go ahead.
Sir, on the inventory days, so I see that the inventory days went up during the COVID period, like during the last year. It is still at elevated levels from the historical levels. So do we expect it to go back to historical levels, or do we expect it to remain around this these levels?
No, so that's what we said, right? I mean, it'll start getting normalized over 4 quarters. And quarter 1, quarter 2, we've already seen that normalization starting off. And I think that should be visible in the cash flow statement. If you look at inventory, there's normalization which has already started. So probably over the next 2 quarters also, the normalization you'll see happening faster, I would say.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Participants, to ask a question, you may press star and 1. The next question is from the line of Amey Chalke from Haitong Securities. Please go ahead.
Thank you for taking my question. I just have one question to ask. Largely, Torrent has oral solid portfolio, both in the domestic, also in the exports market. So is there any plan to expand our manufacturing base towards injectables, and also if we can talk about the biosimilar plants as well, if there are any? Thank you so much.
Sanjay, you want to take that?
We are not into the hospital market traditionally in India and around the world. So we currently have set up a plan to do oral oncology drugs, and we don't have any manufacturing infrastructure in injectables. But it's always under evaluation, right? So we keep studying the markets, keep trying to see what the opportunities are, what our peer groups are doing. And both injectables and biosimilars are areas of constant study at Torrent. But beyond that, I wouldn't like to say whether we are making any investment plans at this point in these 2 areas. But both of these areas are followed closely by our management.
And just a follow-up question on this. Do you think that not investing in these areas will have any impact on the growth side for us? Or you think we have good enough portfolio even to support with the oral solid, etc.?
So we are a little bit beyond oral solids already. So especially if you focus on the dosage forms that we manufacture for the US market. So in addition to oral solids, we have creams, ointments, suppositories, liquids, suspensions. Now we have oral oncology drugs. So we diversified our portfolio, and we have also 3 505(b)(2)s in our portfolio. So we are doing a variety of things, and we made some choices. One of the choices is we don't do respiratory, we don't do injectables right now for the US market. But those choices are constantly being evaluated. So I'm not saying we will not do injectables because, the customer consolidation in the US, there's a lot of pressure in the retail side where there are only 3 or 4 customers which account for 90%. So by adding a hospital channel, we would be doubling the number of customers because the hospital side has 3 to 4 GPOs which play an important role in that market. So we are interested in going into the hospital segment because of it helps us diversify our customer base. But so far, we've not disclosed any products to do that diversification. But it's something which is under constant evaluation.
Sure. Thank you for taking my question. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Rishi from HNI Limited. Please go ahead.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Many thanks for the opportunity, sir. Sir, in the last AGM, you have the chairman and the CEO has announced that the outlook looks very bullish and the pipeline is great. But that has not been displayed in this quarter number. So what went wrong in the exports market, and what are the challenges in the local market right now in the post-COVID scenario? If you can explain that in a broader term, that would be great.
Sanjay?
Hello, Sudhir, you want me to answer?
Yeah.
So essentially, the big barrier we face is lack of new approvals. So while we've been investing in the portfolio and filing the ANDAs in the US market, So we have not been receiving approvals because of the status of the facilities, right? So that is the number one reason for us to hold back in revenue growth linked to new products. So that is I hope is that adequate response to your question, or you're looking for something else?
Oh. No, and what is the outlook for the H2 we don't see any signs of the COVID, and some of the companies who are smaller peers have done relatively very well in terms of top line growth where we are lacking right now. So what is the outlook, sir? Can you tell us the outlook for H2 basically? Some guidelines if you can give.
No, because the outlook will depend upon the status of the US FDA inspection and the launch of new products, right? So I have mentioned that the US FDA is currently inspecting other facilities in India, and they've restarted. So we would expect this to happen in the next 3 months. And then if that takes place, then we will be back on the growth track because our new products will get approved.
Okay, thanks. That's it from my side. I'll send the questions to the company secretary.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Participants, to ask a question, you may press star and 1. Reminder to the participants, anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1. The next question is from the line of Sayantan Maji from Credit Suisse. Please go ahead.
Thanks for the follow-up. So I have 2 questions. So one is on Germany. So in last quarter on this call, we had mentioned that we would be growing in high single digits. So do we still maintain the guidance given the changed landscape now?
Yeah, no, our expectation was that we would be back to the growth track. So unfortunately, this quarter again there have been a few setbacks. So we are trying to. Our objective is to grow somewhere between 5 to 10%, and historically that has been the growth rate in Germany. But at this point, I would not like to give forward-looking guidance. We are doing our best to remediate the situation and to get back on growth. And some of these are one-time items. But I think at this point, I would say that the objective of the company remains to get back to where it was, and hopefully we'll be there soon. But I don't know. I prefer not to give you guidance for the future.
Okay, sure. And for US, so we were supposed to launch one Sartan. So have we done that, and is it now reflecting in the quarter sales?
Can you repeat that, please?
So in US, we were planning to launch one Sartan in this, in Tokyo. So have we launched that, and is it now reflecting in the US sales, or are we getting?
Yeah. So it's about Sartan. So we actually relaunched the Olmesartan, one of the Olmesartans in the US, and it is reflected in the numbers.
Okay. And finally, just want to check what's the status of the clinical trial of Dapsone. So are we done with the clinical trial? Because I think we got tentative. We already have tentative approval on this product.
Correct. So we do have tentative approval, and we are in negotiations with the FDA to get final approval. So we've met all the requirements, and we hopefully, we have a kind of ongoing legal battle in the courts. So it's a combination between what happens at the courts and what happens at the FDA. So hopefully, we would see some good results on both of those fronts.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. As there are no further questions, I would now like to hand the conference over to Mr. Sudhir Menon for closing comments. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you everyone for joining Torrent Quarter 2 earnings call. If you have any further questions, please feel free to get in touch with us. Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Torrent Pharma Limited, that concludes this conference. Thank you for joining us, and you may now disconnect your lines.